Alrighty, step 5, filling out the proposal to purchase. This is a big one here, right? So you've got all your compliance documents signed for the consultation phase with your buyer. You went out, showed them some properties, now they want to make an offer. So I'm going to skip the bright stuff, broad strokes, right? I'm going to get right to the document signing portion. So we're going to go get on your computer, go to Docusign. One way or another, you need to get to that transaction room where all the documents are. So you could have gone through Command and hit Go to Transaction from your opportunity, or you could just go right to Docusign, click on your face, and click Switch to Rooms. Once we get in our room here, we'll find our room for this deal, which is called Searching, right? And once we get under contract, we'll change that name to the property address, right? But it should make it easy. At this point, you should understand how that makes it a little bit easier for you to get to it. So then we click on Documents, and now keep moving my face around. Now we just need to add Docusign Forms, right? Just like we did before. And we can come right down to KW984 and start typing in proposal. And you can use either proposal to purchase, but I'm going to explain to you the new option here in this video. So click on the proposal to purchase option 2, hit add selected. Here it is. Now it's in our room, and now we can fill it out like we filled any other document out, and I'm going to show you how to fill it out right now. Okay, so starting with our top line items here, we have our buyer's names, buyer 1 name, buyer 2 name. We need to put their address in here. Not mandatory. If you don't have it, just leave it blank. You'll need to give it to the listing agent when they prepare contracts, though. You'll need to get it eventually. Moorestown, New Jersey, 08057, okay? Property address for the house that they're buying. I realize the spacing is a little bit off here. I'll see if I can get them to fix that, but not too big of a deal. All right, so purchase price, this is the price that your buyer, not the listing price, this is the price your buyer is going to be offering. This is what they want to pay for the property. So if it's listed at $250,000, they want to offer $260,000, $275,000, that's the number you're putting in here. So let's say we're going to offer $260,000 for this deal. You can put your number in there. Next, seller concession. This is can also be referred to as a seller credit. This is money that the seller is going to pay out of their pocket towards the buyer's closing costs. So on a deal of this size, the buyer is going to get a mortgage, they need title insurance, they need to escrow for homeowner's insurance. The closing costs for them are going to add up to about maybe $8,000 on top of their down payment. So the buyer can ask the seller to actually cover those costs, and it would be financed in their mortgage. So lots of other resources, different conversation there, but that's where this number goes. So if they're asking for a seller concession, kind of rare in this market, hard to do right now when you're having a bunch of offers, but this is the spot where you can put that in. So we're going to leave it as 0, or you can just put nothing there. All right, next, escrow deposit. This is the initial deposit that once you go under contract, once you get signed contracts, the buyer is going to need to go to the bank and get a cashier's check or go and get some money orders and deposit them with the title company usually. So we can actually type right in here, held by title company, or you can say the actual title company if you know what the title company that your buyer is going to use. So you can put that right on there. This goes on the contract. It is not mandatory. It can be left blank, but I recommend you at least just type in title company there if you're not sure who they're going to use. And the amount for the escrow deposit, again, this goes towards the buyer's closing costs at settlement. This is money that they give you today. It's held in escrow. If the buyer, as long as they haven't breached the contract, in theory, they get this money back if the deal falls apart, like if they lose their job or can't get their mortgage or something like that. Broad strokes video, broad strokes. So put your escrow deposit in here. On a deal this size, we might do like $3,000 to $5,000. So let's say we did a $5,000 escrow. You can put that in there. And then, are they getting a mortgage? If they're getting a mortgage, what type are they getting? These are the very common mortgages. So let's say they're going to do FHA, and let's say that they're going to do a 30-year FHA mortgage. So we can check those two boxes off. So this is the term in years. This is the type of the mortgage they're getting. Then how much are they going to put down? Let's say it's FHA, 3.5% down, so we'll say they're going to put 3.5% down. That's very common, or it could have been conventional, 5% down, 20%, whatever. Just put the percentage in here, okay? The next part is the mortgage amount. This is actually how much is going to be financed. So in order to find that out, it's pretty easy. It's basic math. You're going to take the purchase price, $260,000, times, since they're putting 3.5% down, they're financing 90.965. They're financing 96.5% of the purchase price. And the answer is $250,900. So I'm going to put that here, I'm going to explain that like 3 different ways on how you could do that. If you wanted to find the mortgage amount, you could have also done $260,000 times 0.035. That gives you a $9,100 down payment. So then you would need to do 260, 1, 2, 3 minus the $9,100 down payment. And you can see that gives us the same answer. They're financing $250,900. Another way to do it, you could look at the pre-approval, you could ask the lender, but really the easiest way to do it is to just basically multiply the purchase price by the reverse percentage here. A lot of people get tripped up here. It's very simple. You can do one of those 2 ways. Let's say they're putting 5% down. We would just do 260,000 times 0.95. And that would give us 247,000. That's the financed amount. That's the mortgage amount. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, moving down here, settlement date, on or before. Finance deals, conventional or FHA, are typically no less than 30 days. So you can either type 30 days, you can type ASAP, or you could put an actual closing date. I like to put an actual closing date, like 9/7. I don't know, whatever 30 days is, or 45 days. Talk with your buyer, figure out what closing date you want to put on there. Then we're going to talk about whether or not the buyer is contingent. So if you have a buyer that does not have another home they need to sell in order to make this offer, they're going to click you're going to click non-contingent here. So they're not contingent on the sale of any other real estate. Now we can move down to inspections. So let's say usually that's the case, but if they are contingent, that's a challenge in this market. But what you do is click on yes, they're contingent, and the buyer, in order to make this purchase, will need the proceeds from the sale of their other property located at 527 Main Street in Haddonfield, New Jersey, 08033. And if you do it like that, no problem. And then you just need to check off one of these 2 boxes here. Is this contingent property under contract or not? If it's not, you check no. Good luck with that. But if it is under contract, you'd check yes. And then you'd also, upon acceptance here, you'd send over the contract for that property to the listing agent. So, all right, next, inspections covered at buyer's expense. Inspections to be ordered at the buyer's expense, aka the buyer is paying for these inspections. This is typical. General home, wood boring insects, radon. Other inspections to be ordered at buyer's expense. I can see that we're missing a field here. We'll get that added. If they're ordering, like if you know up front they're going to be ordering an oil tank scan, or going to be doing a lead paint inspection or something like that, you're welcome to put it in here. Or I would say, wherever you want to type it, if they're waiving inspections, I would not check these because I know that's common now. Make sure you're typing in somewhere, buyers waiving inspections. Make sure you're letting the other agent know that, and you're getting a waiver signed by your buyer. Typical inspections paid for by the seller are the private well inspection, if they have well water on the property, and if it's a VA deal, the seller pays for the termite inspection. So that's WDI inspection. That stands for wood destroying insects. In a VA deal, the seller is paying for that. So if this is VA, you may as well check that off so that it's not confused, not messed up later. You're not having an issue later or an unhappy agent saying the buyer should be paying for this. Well, it was on our offer. It was on our form. This is typically how it's done. So and then any other inspections you want the seller to pay for, like depending on how you handle a septic inspection, sometimes the seller pays for the pump out and the buyer pays for the inspection. And say, well, if you wanted to negotiate that, you've got your opportunity to do it here. Okay, additional contract provisions is huge. I would outline here, like a lot of deals were saying, buyer will only ask for or repairs above $3,000 as determined by a licensed contractor are negotiable. Buyer will not ask for repairs below $3,000. Buyer will cover $15,000 in a low appraisal, not to exceed purchase price of $260,000. So these are really common things. We're doing a lot of deals now, so this is your opportunity to write that. I highly encourage you to go into a lot more detail when you actually send the offer to the listing agent. So. And then are you going to use an escalation clause, yes or no? So of course we're going to check off yes, because we're going into education here in this video. So yes, we're going to use an escalation clause. And what else is included in the sale? Make sure that you're adding in here refrigerator, washer, dryer. If they're included, you can usually find this in the MLS or ask the listing agent if the seller was planning on leaving them. You might want to also include pool table, jacuzzi, anything that might be confused, you want to make sure you put it on there. And then anything that's specifically excluded, you put it here, like for example, dining room chandelier, right? Simple enough. And then you want to check off whether you're representing the buyer only, the seller only, or if you're a dual agent. So if you're working with another agent from KW Morristown or Cherry Hill or Robbinsville, you're going to be representing both the buyer and the seller. And then this box right here is how long is this offer good for, which is kind of arbitrary, right? If we go past that date, your buyer can still move forward with it, but usually put in like 1 or 2 days here or whatever you need to do. Then make sure you put your license number here because the agent needs it for the contract. And the cell phone for you. Our office license number is on here as well, and then that's it. So at this point, we need to get this signed. So we can hit save and close, and let's add the escalation clause in here. So we're going to add a document, Docusign Forms. We want to do an escalation, KW984, escalation. So we're going to add this document, click on the escalation clause, and now we can edit this as well. This is simpler. Okay, so the sales contract dated, we're just going to put the date of our offer on there to make it easy. That's pretty wild, but whatever, we'll just leave it because we're not actually going to use this as part of the contract, it's just part of our offer. The property address should be here now. Here's the buyer's names, and we'll put, Mary Smith is the seller. To get the seller's name, you can go Look in Bright, or you can look in Public Records. All right, so in the event the seller receives another offer from a qualified buyer, blah, blah, all right, the buyer, our buyer, Jim and Joe, agree to increase their offer to give the seller a net sales price that is how many thousands of dollars higher than the net sales price in the competing offer. So how much more than the next highest offer are the buyers willing to pay? A good number is, I like to explain it like this. The worse your buyer's financing is, the higher this number should be. So if your buyer's FHA 3.5% down, they want to have a home inspection and they're not covering any of the low appraisal, they should be $5,000 higher than the next offer. If your buyer's cash waiving inspections and has no appraisal, they could literally be $500 higher than the next offer and the seller will take them. As a matter of fact, a cash buyer might not want to use an escalation because they could be lower than the next highest offer and still get the property just because they're cash, and cash is king. So, and we need to just put our max for our escalation clause here. We're going to say, we're offering $260,000 up to $275,000. So we're going to say for this deal, since we're 3.5% down FHA, but we're covering a big portion of a low appraisal and some of the inspection, we're going to do $2,500 higher than the next offer up to $275,000. Then you're going to check one of these off, and it's typically the additional amount. So the additional amount over $260,000 that we're offering is added to the buyer's down payment, and added to the buyer's financing usually, which means that they're just going to put 3.5% down on the new higher purchase price. And then if there's another escalation clause, is your buyer okay with that? And I usually say to check off yes, multiple escalations are authorized. And that's it. We can save and close. At this point, we're either ready to sign these on behalf of our buyer or have our buyer sign these two documents and get them over to the listing agent to make our actual offer within our offer email. And I'm just going to get into that in this video right now. So click these two bubbles over here because we need to get somebody to sign them. You should know how to do this by now. Click Create Envelope. Hopefully we'll have pre-tagged roles here. So we're going to call these offer docs. 123 Main Street. Please DocuSign. Then we're going to copy this just like we did before. Scroll down, paste it. This is what it's going to look like in their in your email subject line to the buyer. We're going to do pre-tagged roles here, and we're going to add buyer 1, buyer 2, and that's it. I guess we have no place for us as the agent to sign, right? Which makes sense. So we're going to select our buyer from the drop-down. And listen, if you want to sign it on behalf of your buyer, you're welcome to do that. A lot of agents don't have their buyer sign the proposal or the escalation. They sign it like James Stofey, agent for buyer. You can do that. I prefer to have my buyers actually just sign off on the offer because it only takes a second to DocuSign from their phone. So I'm going to select buyer 1, buyer 2, add selected, Boom, boom, good. I'm gonna hit, actually I'm gonna change the email now to mine, because remember you can change this at any time. I'm gonna change it to mine so I can actually sign it and upload it to the file and show you how to submit for compliance. So, good, next. And once we get in here, hopefully the signatures will be where they're supposed to be. This is the first time I'm in here with these new addendums that were just added to these new addenda and proposal to purchase that were just added to Docusign. So good, buyer signatures are where they're supposed to be. Good. Proposal to purchase, all looks good here. So remember how I said there was no text box for one of these things. There's no text box right here for the other inspections to be ordered at the buyer's expense. Well, right now, if there was anything else, I could just click on the text box and I could type in whatever I needed to right now. And then the signatures are where they need to be, and I can click send. Then I'll go to my buyer for their signatures. And then it will come to me in my email as a completed document once they sign. So let's say I'm just going to sign on behalf of them, or they signed it. I'm going to take us right into that step right now. So I'm going to hit continue. Start. So the buyers would sign this, but let's say I signed it on behalf of the buyer, I would just do James Stoffi. You can see I've done this before, agent for buyer. You saved, and that's what it appears. That's how it appears here, right? Next, sign, boom. You can see I could change this now because I left it editable. Not really a big deal, but I'm not going to change it. So good, save, done, hit finish. I have to sign it again for the other buyer. So I can click on it again and click sign. Quickly go through it, boom, done, sign. James Stoffi, whatever, sign, okay, finish. Now the document's been fully signed, so it's going to be at the top of my email. Let's see. Bingo, there it is, completed, offer docs, and here they are, they're right here. Proposal to purchase and escalation. So now we're going to make our offer to the listing agent. So we're going to start up a new email. First thing I'm going to do is attach both of these documents to the new email. Okay, we're going to send these over to the other agent. Perfect. I'm going to type up a little email here. This is the other agent. Hi, Michelle. And then I'm going to copy the template that I use for all my offers, which you should have from me. Once you get to this point, just ask me if you don't. And we're going to do proposal to purchase. On 1320 West High Street. Okay, here it is. I should have sent this to you. You can see I've sent it to a lot of different agents. So I typically copy this, and I'm going to paste it here and just change it up for the new agent. So Michelle, here is the offer as promised. Now I'm going to just edit this email. What's my purchase price? $260,000. And I'm going to do bold and italics with escalation up to $275,000. See attached. Okay, easy enough, right? Because it's attached here, so she can just make sure she looks at it. Just trying to make it as easy, simple, and as clear cut for the other agent as possible, so there's no questions or confusion. All right, deposit. I forget what we put on the offer here, but what you do is just fill in your bullet points here to match what you put on your offer, and then I recommend that you make a little section here about your buyers. A little blurb, whatever you need to do. Sell the other agent, sell the other side on your buyers so that they'll take their offer. And then the subject, I always do the same subject line on every property, so you're out there making 10 offers per buyer or whatever, and when you need to reference them in the future, it makes it easier for you. So proposal to purchase, 123 Main Street, Moorestown, New Jersey, whatever. And then I'm going to send it to myself, but you're going to send it to the listing agent, not to yourself, obviously. Click send. And boom, your offer goes out to the other agent. Now at this point, make sure you text them, make sure you get receipt. Make sure the other agent confirms receipt. Give them an hour. Don't give them more than an hour before you're saying, did you get my offer? When is best and final due? Blah, blah, blah. Make sure you're on top of that so that you're getting proof that your offer was received by the other side and presented to the seller. So that's it, 20-minute video. Went a little bit more in depth than I planned to here. Hopefully this was helpful. Again, I'm trying to do broad strokes here, but it's kind of hard. So hopefully, you've learned the answers to a lot of questions that you've had outside of this video, and hopefully this helped you just kind of put the pieces together. Good luck.